Good morning, friend. I showed up again. I'm not always sure that I'm going to do that, but look at that. 2 days in a row. I showed up again. And I want to start the day off with the morning pour. Still water, still water. The reason is that I learned very quickly that coffee turns your teeth yellow so fast, and I don't really want that. I spend all my time trying to whiten my teeth, and that's more than just the regular brushing and dentist visits. And as you will find, my thought today for the morning pour goes right along with low maintenance, being so entirely low maintenance. But I wanted to tell you first that the morning pour is brought to you today by LA Smacks. LA Smacks. LA Smacks is a food truck, incredibly fun food truck. And they have funnel cakes, they have esquite, LA style hot dogs, churros with ice cream, aguas frescas. They are amazing. And if you are in Salt Lake or anywhere in the surrounding area, let me tell you something. You can find them at the 4th of July celebration with the city of West Valley. Look at that. West Valley City, you're getting free promo. Unless nobody watches this, then you're not getting anything. However, this is going to be at the 4th of July celebration with the city of West Valley at Centennial Park. And we all know where Centennial Park is. Down the way, down the way. You will find LA Smacks there with all of those fun menu items. I got to taste test before they even launched, and I was in heaven. The food was so good. But listen closely. You can catch LA Smacks at the West Valley City Centennial Park on July 4th, where there will be food, music, fun. I don't know about fireworks. I don't know what the city is doing, but I do know that LA Smacks will be there. You're going to want to check them out. Best food, hands down. And thank you so much for sponsoring the morning pour. So let me get into it real quick. This morning, when I was getting ready to start talking to you, one, I realized how quiet I talk when I'm by myself. Because I'm by myself, who am I talking to that loud? In fact, one second. Often, when I have my children and my nephews and nieces in town and around, they are all either late teenagers or early adults. And for years and years, when they get together, they are so loud. And I say to them, who are we talking to that's not in the room? Who are we talking to that's not somewhere around here? Because if everyone you're talking to is right here, you need to lower your tone. You're just kind of blowing out my ears. So when I'm by myself, I tend to talk not very loud. In fact, when I'm by myself, I actually don't tend to talk at all. I can go from Friday to Sunday without saying a thing, provided I don't see anyone. I'm going to work on that. I'm going to be more of a social butterfly. You watch. You watch. I'm not going to do it. But I am going to talk louder today for my own sake. Here's what happened this morning. I put on this cute boat neck. It was a boat neck shirt, black, and it kind of hung off the almost off both shoulders. Really cute. And then I looked at it, and with how loose the neckline was, my microphone is too heavy. It's too heavy. It would have dragged my shirt down. And I looked through everything else in my, let's call it wardrobe, my wardrobe of t-shirts, and I couldn't find a neckline that was cute and that could support the weight of the mic. That's telling me something. I might need to switch to a different mic. So I took off the sweatshirt, and the only shirt that I could find that I felt like wearing past that could support the weight of the mic was a workout shirt. And I thought to myself, that's okay. I could probably get to the gym before I do any of this stuff. I'm a liar. I know that I can't go to the gym before I do the stuff I have to do. I have to get all the stuff done that I need to do before I go and take a break. I get it. I have a mentality problem. But let that be my problem for today. Because my point is, I am just a low maintenance human. And in being a low maintenance human, I also put on, I just found my makeup bag, which I normally don't see. I know that this is going to sound so stupid, but bear with me, because it'll make sense as we go throughout this conversation. And by the way, keep getting ready. Don't stop for me. I'm just going to talk. You just get ready. So I found my makeup bag, which I know where I put it. I just never open it because I don't have a use for it. A lot of the makeup in that bag is probably 3 or 4 years old. And all the makeup artists that are my friends, I know you're supposed to throw that stuff away. But why would I throw away a mostly full thing of very expensive makeup. Why? Tell me. I wouldn't, and I didn't. And that's how I found my makeup bag this morning. Full of brand new makeup, a lot of it the wrong shade. And since the 90s, when people started doing the lip liner and the brown lipstick, I have always loved that look. However, in the 90s, we didn't have YouTube. We didn't have things that taught us how to do makeup. And so you just had to kind of guess based off of what you saw on MTV and try to figure out how to translate it. But being a low maintenance person, sometimes known as a tomboy, they're two different things, but it happened to all be the same thing, which was me. I did not have any mentors in this space, and I did not have MTV, and I did not have the patience to keep trying stuff. So while everybody was doing the lip liner and the brown lipstick, I was like, oh, that right there is a look. And I bought brown lipstick. No mirrors. Just picked up the shade and said, this is great, which I did again many times. And I'd put it on thinking, I'm pulling this off. I'm looking like SWV. And then I'd go places like upstairs from the basement, and people would say, as in my father was the first one who said, are you okay? Are you sick? And it turns out that when I looked in the mirror, my lips were the same color as the rest of my face, thus erasing my lips, and I looked very ill. Well, this morning I found my makeup bag. And of course, I just start rifling through it like, I got to be on camera anyway. Let me see what I can find. And I found this brown lip stain. And listen, it's been a long time since the 90s, a long time. And you would think that I would have this figured out. I mean, part of my schooling was art school, and I understand color theory. I do. I put this stuff on, and it looked like a frosted lighter brown, and it looked basically like my lips were very chapped, and or chapped, is it with a ed on the end? Maybe it is. My lips looked chapped and my face looked washed out, and then I couldn't really get it off because it's a lip stain. So I went to counter it, because that's what people do, right? I think theoretically. And I countered it with this deep red lip stain that I bought at the same time as the brown one, and now it looks like I drank out of Kool-Aid. Like Kool-Aid from the 90s, the one that you mix with the 2 cups of sugar for 1 pitcher. And I really had to just say, listen, just get your day started. Figure this stuff out on the weekend. Take some time and maybe figure out what to do with your face. But until then, let us begin. Today, let me just go over the reminder. Conversations with Pela, the real conversation, which ties directly into the way my outfit turned out. I just wore my gym shirt so that it could support the weight of my mic, and my lips look stained like I drank Kool-Aid because I don't even want to talk about it anymore. It'll tie in. But I just want to remind you that this part of the Conversations with Pela is brought to you by Utah Grown, and you can check them out at utahgrown.co. Let me remind you again and again and again. If you are curious about whether or not medical cannabis will support your wellness program, your own personal wellness program, or you're a medical provider and you are curious about what the medical cannabis program can provide for your patients, and you want education, you want access, you want guidance, Utah Grown is the place to start. Utah Grown is the authority on knowing exactly how to get yourself into the medical cannabis space, whether you're a healthcare provider or whether you're a potential patient. You can go on their website and find out if you have a qualifying condition. You can go on their website and find out about what it means to be a medical provider in this space. They do educational classes. There are educators in person. There are medical providers in person, and your ability to really learn and figure out if this is the right step for you can be completely supported by Utah Grown. Check them out at utahgrown.co, utahgrown.co. And thank you, Utah Grown, for sponsoring Conversations with Pela. So here's what happened. I already told you I'm on the struggle bus. I did. I said that, and I admit it. And even though I said I'm on the struggle bus, I promise you, About 10 more minutes into this day, I'm going to forget all the things that I did that put me on this struggle bus. I remember a couple weeks ago sitting in my office and telling somebody that like I just don't look in the mirror that often because I don't. I've never been in that habit. And I said, here's the thing. What I look like is not really my problem after a hot minute. It was my problem when I got ready, but it's your problem for the rest of the day because you're the one looking at me. I am working. And he just was like, huh, thank you for sharing that thought out of nowhere. I said to him, you're welcome. But here's what I was looking at this morning. Recently, and it could have been today, it could have been yesterday, it's just recently, the BET Awards happened on Sunday, and today is Thursday. Today is Thursday, July 2nd. And Claressa Shields did not win Sportswoman of the Year. Now, some of you don't know who Claressa Shields is, but in my world, she's something big and important. I remember years ago when Claressa Shields hit the scene as a female boxer. This woman was powerful. She came on, and she was so young. I feel like she was just a teenager. And she came out, and I was watching an interview with her, and she had these shoulders. And first of all, my father loves boxing. So I grew up with a love for boxing through the lens of his eyes. So I'm not really like, I don't follow the boxers, but I follow what it takes to be a boxer. I like watching people figure out how to do the foot movements, how to throw a punch, how to block, how to hold up and, protect their face. I love the sport of the sport, not necessarily following the different athletes. But Claressa came on the screen and she had these shoulders and these arms. And I said, that child, because she was just a teenager at the time, I said, that child could knock a hole right through your head. She could punch a hole right through your head. And I was just impressed. Now, Claressa has always reminded me of me in the sense that this is Claressa. This is not me. She is a very accomplished athlete. She's a 2-time gold medal winner for the Olympics. I think she won back-to-back Olympics. She's just powerful. She is a powerful fighter. She is very good at what she does. But you could see in the beginning when she learned how to do this, that being a girly girl was never her thing. Growing up with, and now I'm projecting and I get that. She didn't come across as a person who grew up with a chance to be very soft or to be very feminine. And I say a chance, I really feel like whatever environment she grew up in, the space that she could survive in was the boxing ring. And I always gave her props for that. I always thought that was just like, I love people who can just live. They can just figure out how to survive in the world that they're in and make something of it. And that was who Claressa Shields was for me. But Claressa has been great in the public eye for a long time. And I have seen her try to move into the space of being way more girly than she used to be. The outfits, the hair, all the stuff. And I also give her props for making that adjustment. Because I know she did it because she wanted to. Everything about this woman's mentality says, I'm not doing it if I don't want to. And I love that. But she was really upset over this weekend for not winning Sportswoman of the Year during the BET Awards. And she lost to Angel Reese. And she did give Angel Reese lots of props. But there was somebody, a commenter, who I absolutely love. And he said, the thing about Claressa Shields is that she's not likable. She's not likable. And as he's talking, I was like, correct. And then my heart broke a little bit because I like Claressa Shields. I really, really do. But I have grown up in an environment where I'm very acclimated to hard personalities. I'm very acclimated to people who are like, I would say aggressive. I would say annoying. I would say I'm very acclimated to stuff knowers. The ones who just can't be wrong no matter what. Always got to tell you what's what. And sometimes you just got to be like, okay, thank you. I'm acclimated to that. So when people are like that, I see it, I recognize it, but it doesn't even faze me. It doesn't come across as something I need to be worried about until I see them interact with other people. And the way that I grew up was to be a peacemaker. That was such a big part of life. And I'm telling you this because I look at Claressa, and I feel so bad that she feels so bad. But I also, how do I explain this? I've also been in that place where I did not understand fully. Is that true? That's not true. I did not tap fully into the idea that likability gets you so much further than just being competent. And that's such a hard concept because I love competence. I love competent people. I love people who understand things, who can take things apart, put them back together. I love them. And I don't care if your personality sucks. If you can do it, you can do it. Now, that's a lie. I do care if your personality sucks, because when your personality sucks, not saying Clarissa does, because sis, you're not knocking a hole through my head. But when your personality sucks and you don't know it, you don't realize how hard it is for other people around you to deal with you. And then you don't realize how much they don't want to pull for you because your personality sucks. And in your mind, you think, I can do this. I'm doing the thing. I'm doing it well. I'm moving the needle. Why don't these people see it? Why don't they go up for me? Like, why is my effort and my output not being matched by their support? Likability. And I hate to even push likability politics, but the truth is, when you have a really hard, difficult personality, you almost have to curate the spaces that you're in so that people can deal with you. Entrepreneurs, I'm talking to y'all, because isn't that the way it goes? You start your own business because it's just sometimes so impossible to work with other people. And then it sometimes doesn't even occur to you that it's impossible to work with other people. And this is not all entrepreneurs, but many of them. It's hard to work with other people because you have a difficult personality. And I can't fault people for that. I actually don't have a problem with difficult personalities. I just feel bad when people are in that space. But here's what I wanted to say. Not so much about, I don't think people necessarily need to change, but a little bit of self-reflection goes a long way if you're willing to be honest with yourself. There was a time I started a new gig. That's what I'll call it. I started a new gig, and the person that I was working with, that I was working the closest with, just really aggravated the hell out of me. You see how I said that and not other swear words that I like better? It was like they didn't think through anything. They didn't care about the way their words affected people. But again, so acclimated to some of the hardest personalities that, for me, I'm just like, I'm annoyed, but I can do this. And what started to happen immediately, and generally happens with me when I don't catch myself, is that when you're annoying, not annoying to me about me, but annoying to other people, two things start to kick in. One, I start to buffer all of the things that you're doing to protect the world outside. Things that I no longer do. I kind of don't care anymore. If your personality runs people over and ruins your shot, now I just let it go. But at that time, and by the way, that time, I changed my way of thinking not very long ago. So at that time, I realized that if I keep working on this gig, in this dynamic, whatever the situation was with the new things that I was doing, I'm going to spend a lot of time buffering people from this person that I was working very closely with, right? This part of the team. And I immediately became, I'm going to say, a stuff knower, but it wasn't really a stuff knower. They said to me, they said straight to my face, nobody likes a know-it-all. And I almost said straight back to them, well, nobody likes a dumbass either. However, Did I catch myself? I may have caught myself that day. I'm sure a different day I didn't catch myself. And I did say it straight out of my mouth because you can only push me so far. But I realized when that person said that to me, I was like, am I a know-it-all? Do I always have to be right? Do I always have to be, am I a stuff knower? And and I took 10 steps back. And let me tell you something. I spent a lot of time, and I mean months and months and months, kind of having this little bit of doubt in my mind about how I show up. Like, am I just aggravating the shit out of people? Just talking all the time and driving them crazy? And to be honest, I was at this point in my life where I couldn't gauge what people thought of me. It is so hard to move, and this is a weird thing to say, but it is so hard to move out of space where it's going to sound like where you care about if people like you, but I'll be honest with you. I'll be honest with you, friend, because you're getting ready. I don't want to mess up your flow. Keep going. I don't care if anybody likes me. I really don't care. However, I do care if I'm making your life harder. If I'm making your life more difficult because I am being difficult. Now, if we're in a situation where I need to be difficult and that's making your life harder, generally what has happened is that you were being difficult. Now I have to be difficult because we need to course correct. And so now if you're upset at how difficult I'm being because I'm just not going to let it slide, just because I'm going to hold the line, that's on you. That's called a personal problem and not my personal problem. However, if I'm just being obtuse because I'm in a bad mood, because I just am irritated with who you are as a person, I have cared so deeply about that for my whole life to not be the one to, it's not even that I care to not be the one to turn things upside down. It's that I care to not be the one to turn things upside down because I know what it feels like when somebody else turns things upside down. That's why I've said I am so acclimated to difficult personalities because I had a running script in my head for so many years that what you do is you buffer. You buffer and you bring the tension down. You bring everything down back to as much of a neutral or a happy level as possible so that people aren't getting hurt left and right. That's always been the person that I'm going to say I had to be, but it was I had to be because I didn't know any different. I didn't know that it was okay to just be like, well, if you want to be a problem, go ahead and be a problem. See how that works out for you. I really felt the internal script was, if you want to be a problem, you can be a problem, but I'm going to run interference so that it doesn't affect everybody to the nth degree. I'm going to bring it down as much as I can so that they're only taking a small hit. I'll take the brunt and we'll keep this whole thing. And that's one of the reasons why I really don't like to go places, because I don't want to carry the room. I don't want to diffuse. I don't want to do anything. That is the worst part of extroverting. I love to introvert. I'm really good at that. That's why I can go Friday to Sunday and not say a thing. Anyway, here's what I'm getting to. When that person told me, ooh, nobody likes a stuff knower. And it was just like that. Ooh, nobody likes a stuff knower. I was like, let me tell you something about your mama. Those were fighting words, but fighting words to me are always a sign that I got to think about this. Why am I so triggered? Why am I so upset right now with what is happening? And then I began to doubt myself. And this is the real point. I began to doubt my ability to show up in that space the way I needed to. I still showed up as myself because I kind of sort of don't have the training to not do that. I really only have the training to show up as who I am. And that training is called just everyday life. So I came into these spaces kind of worried for a long time. Like, I feel like it was like 4 or 5 months of worrying about, am I driving everybody crazy? Okay, I kind of sort of in this space don't know how to not do that. And then one day I just thought, let me get some feedback. Let me get some feedback from anybody who's not that person. And the feedback really that I needed was from myself. I found a way to kind of observe myself in that space and to observe what I would think and feel if I was outside of the situation where I was over here, if I was an outside. And I was like, you know what? It's working out just fine to be me. It's working out just fine to be me. Even when I'm a stuff knower, even when I'm aggravating, it's working out just fine to be me. So even though it sounds like I wish I could tell Claressa, because I feel a little bit protective of her, even though, I just hit myself. I wish she would stop beefing with Remy Ma. I really do. Because that is the most lame beef. I just do not get two women fighting over a man. And Remy's not really trying that hard to fight. But Remy, shots fired. Anyway, I know that some of you have no idea who these people are. Claressa Shields, gold medalist, 2-time boxing champ. Remy Ma, rapper to the gods. If you don't know, look them up. You'll enjoy them. I wish they'd stop beefing. And I'm not telling Claressa in any way, or anybody who is like her, to be more likable. I can't tell you to do that. I can't tell you to betray who you really feel you are to make somebody else happy. What I can say is that if you take a step back, being you is probably working out better than you thought. That's it. That's the conversation. I hope you're ready. Grab your keys, put your shoes on. I'll see you at work.